Hello and welcome once again to The Business. Today I'm joined by Jenny Sudden from the solicitors Andrew Jackson. Now, Jenny specialises in company law, business law, things that really matter to you. So welcome and thanks for making it. So, got a few questions to ask you down here, but first, you're quite a successful woman, aren't you? So you've done really well at the solicitors. You've just had a baby.
Well, big girl, 2-year-old.
Well, but how do you manage all that then? How do you fit all that in? And women in business.
And women in business, yeah. I'm also chair of women in business for this area. How do I fit it in? I have a really good support network. How single women do it with children and working full time, I don't know. So basically it's having a great support network of friends, family and work colleagues.
But you enjoy doing it? Do you enjoy the women in business?
Absolutely. Love women in business, yeah. It's a great thing to do. Did
you just have that for a year then?
Yeah. You start off, you join Women in Business. Women in Business is a female-only networking group set up about 15 years ago. There was a bit of a gap in the market for kind of successful business women, whereby a lot of the male colleagues do things like the golf, the snooker, the curry nights that women enjoy as well, but women also prefer to do other things. So set up about 15 years ago, and at the moment we have about 60 members. You pay £60 a year, and with that we have monthly networking events, and we also have a directory, so you have access to everyone's who's a member's email address and telephone number, so you can phone each other. And the idea is that you meet people, you meet business women, and you use each other for your business needs.
Wow,
it's great. So sorry, I am chair, and you chair for a year, and then you hand over the reins to someone else.
So do you get voted on for that then?
Technically.
Yeah. Or is it who wants to do
exactly,
it?
Yeah. Well, who wants to do it? So, it's me this year for my sins.
All right. Well, it's great for you to spend the time to come in. So, I've got some questions here that people have sent in that they want answering. The thing is with a lot of these answers, they're going to be very generic, aren't they? So, we're just going to give the viewers some sort of idea, not specific. So, don't write in or email us saying, oh, this is wrong or that's wrong. It's generic. We're just having a bit of fun, giving you a pointer in the right direction and let you know what's going on.
Excellent disclaimer.
So,
Thank you.
Disclaimer. I'm learning all the time. Okay, question 1 I've got here is, I want to reward a hard-working member of staff. I want to make him feel a real part of the company, but not be in a position to sway voting within the company shareholders. I've heard about A and B shares in a company. What are these and what do they mean? That's a great question because even I don't know. A and B shares, what's that all about then?
You can call shares anything. Basically, most companies are incorporated with ordinary shares, and the general rule under law is 1 share, 1 vote. So if you want to give, for example, an employee some shares, but you don't necessarily want that employee to have particular voting power or to be able to sway the voting control of the company, then you want to give that that employee some shares, but you might not necessarily want to give that shareholder particular voting rights. So you can create a new class of shares. So for example, as the existing shareholder, you could say that your shares are A shares and they come with the right to receive dividends and the right to vote. And you might want to create some B shares, and they can be given to the employee, and those shares may, for example, only have the right to receive dividends, but you might not be able to have any voting rights for those shares. So when you have your shareholder meetings, although the B shareholder can perhaps come along, they can't take part in actively voting in any business of the company. You can have any sorts of rights attached to any sorts of shares within reason. So you could have A shares which have the voting rights in certain situations, or if there was a particularly important business decision, then the A shares might have enhanced voting rights. So you might say that if we're talking about dismissing a senior employee, then the A shareholder, their voting rights are increased by 100%, so as to outvote the B shareholder. Basically, essentially what you do is you make sure that you've got a really well drafted set of articles and a shareholders agreement which sets out all those rights that you want to attach to those shares.
Okay, that's really interesting. So if somebody had worked hard for me and he's brought a lot of contracts in, and the long-term view of the company was perhaps to sell it, let's say for argument's sake, and I said, look, I want to give you 5% of my company. I don't want you to have any voting rights whatsoever, but I'm giving you them so that one day if we sell, it's there to say I'll give you 5%. What you're saying then is you can structure the B shares however you want them then.
Absolutely. Obviously, subject to the big caveat as, you know, it has to work from a practical and a legal point of view and has to be within the law. But essentially, yeah, you could have some form of agreement whereby you agreed that for 10 years, this 5% of B shares received 5% of the dividends, and then at the end of a 10-year period, that person was free to sell their shares, or you might agree that the company's going to buy them back at a fixed price. You can essentially do whatever you like within the law.
Yeah. That's quite a good idea then, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd be surprised if many people actually know that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Do you get asked that much?
Yeah, we do quite a lot of particularly employee incentivisation, because there's tax issues obviously as well surrounding employee incentivisation. So if you are thinking of going down that route, it is important to obviously have legal advice but also talk to your accountant as well.